Let's have a quick conversation about cubes and guided jumps. This is a guided jump. And it kind of works exactly how you'd expect. You get a jump and you're also dragged at the same time to the position. I don't know if there's a way to set up a guided jump without jumping. Maybe if you like open photo mode or something. Yeah, that's actually a perfect demonstration. But basically, while jumping, it just sort of drags you horizontally. So by using photo mode, you can actually cancel it, and it sort of demonstrates what's going on. You get dragged to the position there. But you can only jump from so far, right? You can get some interesting results, that's for sure. So if you have like a double cube stack and you have a very particular position, your guided jump looks less like a jump and more like a straight line drawing. But for the most part, within standard bounds, you don't have a lot to work with. However, by using cheats, I can demonstrate something super interesting. I have a checkpoint that's set up back there. Let me put the cube back. R warps me back to this position at a moment's notice. I can just press R whenever. So let's say I'm mid-jump and I press R, I get warped to the top. It's sort of what you'd expect, but at the same time it is very funky. Until you start doing things like that. So what I've accidentally done there is I've hit R near the end of me jumping onto the cube, and what that's set up is me completely missing the cube because I, instead of having, say, 50 frames to get on top of the cube, I have only 5. And I'm making this entire distance in 5 frames. I'm just going to miss the cube. So the closer you are to completing the jump, the better a shot you have at, let's say, unintended results. Yeah, like I've completely veered off to the right, landed on the middle island. In an ideal situation, you hit something and fling up the tower like we saw earlier. Oh boy, what the fuck just happened there? So you feel me? If you're using checkpoints, the game is none too pleased when you use them in the middle of a guided, right? But we don't have a way to do those sort of checkpoint warps normally in game, right? There is no in-game method, let's say, of engaging in tomfoolery and then warping back to a position, or so he says. There should be someone walking down here. Yes, hello. It is nice to meet you, Melville. I'm going to wait until Melville has a clear shot to see the hexahedron over here. And then we're going to stop her in her tracks and then do convict. Of course, I beefed it, but that's totally perfunctory. There we go. So I've opened photo mode at the same time as talking to Melville. I'm going to press tab, and then I'm going to press photo mode. And I'm going to run back over to the cube. And when I complete my conversation with Melville, I warp back to her. So in theory, the same thing should be achievable. I'm going to look over here. That's all spam space, and I'm on the other side. This is actually the best result I've ever gotten from convict, which is pretty good. To be fair, in some testing, I've actually hit a slope and then flown all the way up the tower, and then you don't have to go up the elevator. That's very funny. But yeah, this is a completely actionable exploit that lets you fling in certain directions. Now, E2 may not be the best example for this because, like, you'd have to get a cube and then set it up here, but let's go to W1. I have not done a lot of testing with W1, but this is the candidate in my mind for stupid bullshit. We have an NPC who's just standing here menacingly, and we have the ability to get a cube. So in theory, we should be able to set this up, although I can't promise that this will be any sort of effective. So we're going to do convict. We're going to do tab and photo mode. And we're just, going to run over here to the cube that's over here. And I don't actually know whether or not I'm going to get the game to crash on me. But the idea is relatively sound. For any percent, you'd set up a cube, do the warp thing while jumping, and fly up the tower. Will it work? Please take the hexahedron. Is it period? Okay. I have an alternate use key here. You'd be able to clump over all this, whatever. But the idea would be, provided I could make this work. I don't know if I can make this work. We'll try it. I hit too many trees on the way. But you may be able to set up a straight shot, a perfect cube position, because the crier position can be basically manipulated to whatever you want it to be. And you'd get a fling, and it would be the same fling about every time. And you could skip a bunch of the tower. Do I... Yes, I do want to come up with a setup for this. Will I come up with a setup for this? Probably not. Very unlikely that this is the sort of thing that anyone's ever going to use. But it would be funny. So, there you go. Convict... No, I can't come up with a name for this. Someone else come up with a name for this. I give up.